Now I'm going to talk about reflexive verbs and reflexive pronouns. Reflexive verbs are verbs whose subject is also the recipient of the action of the verb. The subject is also the recipient of the action of the verb. So in English, we often translate these, or we have the ability to express these, I should say, as using the words myself, yourself, herself, ourselves. For example, I bathe myself, you bathe yourself. I wash myself, he washes himself. So this sort of thing. So the action of the verb is done to the subject. The subject does the action of the verb to him or herself. Now in English, it is possible to just say I bathe. And if I say I bathe, then you would automatically suppose or guess that you are bathing yourself. The action is done to yourself. In Spanish, it is not understood. That is not understood that the action is being done to oneself unless you say it specifically. So that is where the reflexive pronouns come in. So a lot of the verbs used to express daily routine are reflexive verbs. They take a reflexive pronoun. So first of all, let's take a look at our reflexive pronouns. What are they? Well, we have me, we have te, we have se, we have nos. Notice how these look like the indirect object pronouns with some of them are the same, some of them are a little bit different. And then we have os, and then we have se. These are known as reflexive pronouns. And these let the listener know that the action is done to myself, to yourself, to herself, to himself, to yourself, to ourself, to yourself, to themselves, and to yourselves. So we mentioned that a lot of the verbs having to do with daily routine, hygiene type of practices require reflexive verbs. Well, I should say reflexive pronouns. The verbs themselves aren't reflexive unless they have a pronoun attached. So, bañar, to bathe. So often you'll see the verb bañar, to bathe, with a reflexive pronoun attached. So we have the infinitive plus a reflexive. This means to bathe. And the se on the end indicates it's oneself. This is the infinitive, the generic neutral form of the verb, to bathe oneself. Vestirse, to dress oneself, to dress oneself. Peinarse, to comb oneself, and it's understood that you're combing your hair. To comb oneself or to brush one's, it's to comb oneself. Maquillarse, to put makeup on oneself. And let's do one more. Lavarse, to wash oneself. So, if you want to say, I wash my hands, I wash myself, what you do is you take the se off the end of the verb, and you're going to conjugate it to fit the subject. I wash myself. I wash myself. This is your pronoun. we're going to put it at the beginning. We're going to put it before the conjugated verb if we're just conjugating it and we're not using a command and we're not using a gerund. Then we put it in the front. Me lavo. I wash myself. If we just say lavo, I wash, then the listener doesn't know who you're washing. So you have to be specific in Spanish. I wash myself. If you wash the dishes, then notice how the action of the verb does not fall back on the subject. Here we have I wash, first person singular, myself. First person singular, it's the same. But if you're washing someone else or something else, then it's no longer a reflexive verb. So let's say that you're washing the dishes. I wash the dishes. Lavo los platos. So no reflexive. No reflexive is needed. I wash the plates. This is third person plural. This is first person singular. So no reflexive. Bañarse. You bathe yourself in the informal form. Te bañas. You bathe yourself. If you just say bañas, you bathe, the listener doesn't know who you bathe. It's not clear. What if you want to say I bathe the dog? Or let's say you bathe the dog. Well, now it's no longer reflexive. You're not bathing yourself. You're bathing a dog. Baño al perrito. Okay. So that is basically how the reflexive pronouns work. Now, we've looked at how the pronouns are placed when you are conjugating the verb, and the verb is not a command. This is not a command, and it's not an infinitive, and it's not a gerund. But if you have a command, that's actually a affirmative command, telling someone directly what to do, telling someone, wash yourself, for example. If you have an affirmative command or a gerund, that's the ing form of the verb in English, and in Spanish that correlates to the ando or yendo form, estudiando, estoy estudiando. Or if you have an infinitive, the generic neutral form of the verb, then this placement doesn't work anymore. Okay? With an affirmative command, you might not have learned commands yet, but if you haven't learned commands yet, the verb to tell someone in the second person to wash, like wash your hands, wash yourself, is lava. Wash. Wash, like this. Wash. Now, with only the affirmative command, that's the positive command, you're going to take the pronoun and put it at the end. Okay, you're going to put it at the end, and you need something else here. And that something else is an accent mark. You need an accent mark. Now, how do you know where the accent mark goes? Well, what you do is look at the original conjugation without the pronoun, and you're going to look at the syllables la, ba. And you're going to ask yourself, where is the voice stronger? Is it, which vowel, on which vowel is the voice stronger? Is it lava or is it lava? It's lava. It's lava. So this is where your accent goes, wherever the vowel is strongest. And it might take some time for you to know where the voice is a little bit stronger, but if you repeat the word back to yourself, you should be able to figure it out. That's where the accent goes. And the accent mark in Spanish It can be used to distinguish between two words, word meaning. It's used in question words, and it's also used where you need the force of the voice to be a little bit stronger, because you're breaking the rules for normal accentuation. So that might be too much for you to think about right now. And if it is, just know that wherever that you need an accent, if you're going to be tacking this on to the end of a command, tacking a pronoun onto the end of the command, and the accent goes on the vowel that's strongest before you added the pronoun. In this case, lavate, so it's pronounced lavate. Okay, let's look at a gerund. Let's say we are saying washing yourself. You are washing yourself at this very moment. Estás, tú estás lavando. That's our washing. You are washing, and we want to say you're washing yourself. With a gerund, the pronoun has to come at the end. It doesn't come at the beginning. It comes at the end. So once again, I'm tacking that on. And now the last step is I have to decide where does the accent mark go. So I'm going to go back to the original before I added the pronoun, and I'm going to ask myself, which syllable is strongest? Lavando. Okay. Which is strong? Actually, we won't consider this. Which is strongest? Is it lavando, lavando, or lavando? And you should come up with, it's this one, lavando. Just think about how it's pronounced, lavando. So that's where your accent goes. And finally, if you just have an infinitive, like you need to wash yourself, necesitas lavar. You need to wash yourself, necesitas lavar. You need to wash. Again, the te comes at the end. You need to wash yourself. You need to wash yourself. And with the infinitive, if you're only adding this, if you're only adding the pronoun and nothing else, like you could have a direct object here, or possibly something else that I'm not thinking of. But if you're only adding this, then you don't need to add an accent. It's only with the affirmative commands and the gerunds. So these are situations in which the pronoun will not come before the conjugated verb. It will come after the conjugated verb or the infinitive. So that is how reflexive pronouns and reflexive verbs work.